Good morning, viewers. Welcome to another episode of B4 Rings, and we're on part 3 of the Pinky Audi build, Audi 80 Cabriolet build. My name's Don. Thank you again for all watching and subscribing and liking the videos I'm doing. Like I said, just trying to help people out who own these cars and give them an idea of how they can fix their cars themselves. So today we're going to be taking the engine out of Pinky. It's a Saturday morning, Saturday before Christmas. Why am I doing this? I know I should be at home, probably just relaxing, but I'd get bored. Plus I need to get this car done, otherwise it goes into the new year and things don't get done. Right, I'm actually doing this car outside. I'm going to take the engine outside. I could do it inside the workshop where it's more warmer and stuff, but I'm going to do it here outside because it just gives a bit of encouragement to people who at home who wanted to do it. And the 75% of doing their own build or something, but you know, outside house I'm not sure to do it or whatnot. So I'm doing it outside this video, so it'll encourage others. Right, so the main thing today, this morning, we're going to have to take the front bumper off and the headlights. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Take front bumpers and headlights off, jack it up, take the wheels off as well, take the wheels off. And then we're going to take the front panel off after. So once we've taken the front end bits off, take rad pack out and everything, and the front panel and the T-piece here. It's not going to be a deep depth of how-to videos because obviously that will go on for a long time, but it's just giving you an idea of what needs taking off, or what I do. You know, everybody's got their own way of how to do things, but this is my way of how I'm going to attack this 1.8 turbo build onto Pinky. Hopefully it shouldn't take long to take the engine out, so we'll get the engine out and we'll get all the bulkhead and around the engine area washed and cleaned, and then we'll get the engine back in today. So this should be a day job because in the last video you noticed that the engine was ready to go in. It's just a thing of getting the engine in now and mounting it to the I'm using the normal gearbox as well. I'm using the gearbox out of this car. So this is the engine I'm building. It's a 1.8 turbo AEB engine. As I said before, I've got two projects I'm building. One Pinky the Cabriolet and a 1.8 turbo track car coupe, as well as the silver one. So this is the engine. So I've had it on an engine stand. So I've been, you know, I'm very thankful and lucky to have an engine stand. And over the last month or two, it's been on the stand for over a year, to be fair. But over the last month, I've been building it up and doing stuff to it. So now I got the space because it was a bit chock-a-block in a small little garage. So yeah, here it is here. So I stripped off all the inlet manifold and all the front end. I'll explain what the differences are to an ADR compared to an AEB engine. Stripped it all down so it was just like the bare block and head. Also, I took the sump off. Turned it upside, drained the fluids, turned the engine upside down, and took the sump off and done the pickup, the oil pickup. It looks like a sieve. They do suffer on the 1.8 turbos, especially the S3s and the Cupraras and Skodas, or any any 1.8 turbo engine. It will suffer if the oil is not regularly changed, and this one was really bad. I had to took me a couple of days cleaning the sump out. I took it apart, put petrol in there, that horrible nasty stinking new petrol in there, not the super, the crap one or everybody else. I don't want to mention its name, but pour that in there, and it was for a good couple of days using scotch pads and all sorts. Petrol's a good thing to use, but cleaned it out and cleaned out the pickup as well. Left that just sinking in the in a tub of like petrol what I made, a tub of gas. Also, if you want to clean your engine while I was here, I not for the rubber, but I used a spray gun with some thinners. So I cleaned up all around the engine and all around the inlet manifold and stuff, and tidied it up. As you can see at the back, it comes up well. It really cleans up the engine well. So I haven't put, the only thing I've got to put on is the clutch. I can't put that on obviously because it's on the engine stand. So I will do that when it's off. So there's the new clutch there. cleaned up the flywheel as well, because obviously it's dual mass. So you cleaned up where the burn marks are from the clutch and everything, so there's no clutch judder or anything when you put the new one on. There's a new flywheel, clutch plates as well. Sorry, clutch plate kit to go onto the flywheel. So we're nearly there. So all I've got to do is change the oil filter, but I won't be doing that on the car. There's a couple of other things I've got to change as well. Because I'm Pinky, I did do the water pump. It's a very important thing to do the water pump in here, because inside it corrodes really bad. You know, you can't really it's not really a, oh, here we go, this is, I cleaned it off, but this is the old one. But I mean, it was crystallized like no one's business. You know, it wouldn't even spin, the blade wouldn't spin. This one's having problems to spin now. So, you know, try and run your cars as often as I can. Use antifreeze as well, as the water will just crystallize. Obviously that water pump goes around the engine, and then it goes into your heater matrix as well, and then you get heater matrix problems where the heater matrix blocks up and then it explodes, like literally, because it gets hot, and then water goes into your passenger footwell, and it's just a whole heap of problems, and we don't want that head gaskets going and stuff. But anyway, back to this 1.8 turbo engine. So the differences, what I've had to do, as mentioned before, I've had to get an AEDR cabriolet engine mount for the driver's side. I've changed that. Like I says, on my silver coupe 1.8 turbo, I've used a Bex turbo. It's the same procedure with this. As you can see, you're probably thinking, what on earth is going on there? But with the 1.8 turbo, if you know the A4s, they have got the cap comes down here. So obviously on an Audi 80 it doesn't work like that. It's just like the ADRs or any of the 2 litres or the 5 pots or anything. It kind of goes down and down by the back of the bulkhead. So what I've had to do is cut some off a 1.8 turbo. My exhaust fabrication, when the engine's in the car and everything, can I take it to the exhaust fabricators? They will cut this part off and make this fit to a new pipe, and obviously the pipe will go down. But at the moment, I'll just chop that there as best I could. Well, not best I could, I've done it actually a bit raw, to be fair. I just cut it so he knows what he's doing with it. But anyway, yeah, I've put a Bex turbo on there. Let's change a few pipes from the Bex turbo. So this one here, it's a bit different. It works on a Banjo with the later B6s, but this one I had to change the pipe, because the early AEBs is just a rubber pipe what goes in there. That was crushed. I had to get that sorted out. Another thing you've got to change is put an ADR cabriolet 1.8 cabriolet engine mount on there. So the tools I'll be using is this tool set here. I bought this when I was shopping in Lidl. I've got to say, I think I paid about 60 quid for it, or 70 quid. It's one of the best cheap tool sets you can get. It's got everything in there. I have bust a 17mm socket. Got cracked, but I've had this tool set for over a year, and I mean, it's gone through the turfs, man. Like, it's been on the ground, it's been dirt's got into them, obviously with what the work I do. Part life toolkit from Lidl. Just always, when you're in Lidl at the back and you've got that middle section of all the hardware and clothes and stuff and electricals, have a look for one of them. They are really good, they are. Obviously, I've got my tool sets, my crowbars and screwdriver sets. Anybody who works on Volkswagens a lot, you know, these tool sets are absolutely brilliant, because obviously you got a flathead at the bottom and a Phillips at the top, and it lasts for ages. I've got my impact gun and everything, got another mini set. I've got some other tools there what I need, but I think that's all I need for the moment to get all the bits out of Pinky. Yeah, so these are the tool sets I'll be using for now. Obviously I'll probably need more a bit later on. Let's crack on. So first things first, we're going to remove the headlights in the front bumper. Going to take off the ellipsoid headlights. As we know, these are very expensive headlights, so I don't want anything to happen to them. As well as taking the Porsche indicators and fog lights off, because if you look on the RS2s, the final edition Cabriolet have the same indicators and fog lights as a RS2 Avant. It's a kind of thing, obviously, when the RS2 was made, it was in conjunction with Porsche. So obviously they do look like the Porsche, well, they are Porsche 993 indicators and fog lights. We'll remove those and put them somewhere safe. and then we'll be on to actually taking the bumper off, and then we'll move on to the front panel and radiator pack. So we've taken the headlights and the front bumper off. Front bumper, as you know, if you're a person who's worked on it before, if you haven't got the undershields on and underneath the car, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to have bolts on the side going all the way down. They're going to be hexes, I think around T25 torque, sorry, T25 and T27s up to T30. I can't remember which ones were. And then you've got the 13 mils behind where the fog lights go. There's 2 there, and then there's 2 there as well as the screw what goes in there at the front, what holds it in as well. Right, the next thing to do is to get the front T-piece off, radiator, power steering cooler off, the cooler for the power steering, oil cooler to come off, and then the rad pack. Bear note, the bonnet cable has to come off as well. You got to be very careful with the bonnet cable, because if you were to change one, this is for another video, but you have to put the bonnet cable and the tension on from this side, not inside the car, because what will happen, the little end what pulls the handle will snap off. I've learnt it many times before, so that's just a bit of an update on that, but that's another video. Right, anyway, time to take off the front panel and the radiator, drain the fluids and everything. Bear in mind, if you've got a later ADR or a V6, there are some fuses, some wires, sorry, for like a control pack. The wires are connected to like a control pack what's underneath the battery. Please unbolt those. And when you're building as well, or disassembling, if you're building the car back up, just put your screws back in. So I've put the screws back into the headlights, into the bumpers and that, so you know where they are. Front panel, crash member bar, you've got to take these bolts out here. These are like the 13s, and there's a few 10s. They've all got to come out, because obviously, and then this loom here which goes all underneath, it goes towards the indicators, fog lights and a few other things. This needs detaching, but I need to take it off because they're clipped on, so I need them back, because obviously the car's going back together. So I've taken the radiator out. Here we are here. So remember, you've got 13s what hold here as well, and then you're gonna have your other bolts and your pipe. And an ADR, you've got a different setup of hoses to a V6, so you've got some extra pipes here what connect. There's a pipe what goes underneath the battery there, that's for this little one here, and it's twin fans on most of these 1.8s. So as I was saying to you before, you've got these wires, these are the V6s have them as well, the early 2 litre ABKs, and they 2.3s don't have them, but you've got to disconnect these, and they go here, they connect up here, them earths there. Take those off. Right, we're going to take the engine out. This is the cross member what I was saying in the last video what you need, because it's different. It's set up for what 1.8 turbo setup. So we're going to take the engine mounts off. We're going to take the brake accumulator off because it's connected to the aluminium mount which is on there. Once that's disconnected, we'll go on to taking the engine mounts out, disconnecting the all the plugs and all the wiring towards the engine. Fuel lines will be taken off. But the first thing I'm going to do, this is how I do it, I'm going to take the subframe off, because once you take the subframe off, you can see all the bolts towards the gearbox, and you know where you are. Then I'll work myself up the top area, and then you know where you are, and then we're coming close to getting the engine out. But I'm going to do all the underneath first, leave the top for a bit, and then we can swap fingers over. Like in my last video, I didn't have the belts on the power steering and the water pump, because I already said I already changed them on this engine before, so there's no point. And I know this car hasn't done much miles, it's probably done about 2,000 miles since I got it on the road the first time. So we're going to take those out and then move on. Drained all the fluids from the radiator in that pot there, and I'm going to drain the oil. So we're going to put the axle stands on now. As you can see, I always mention about twin pot calipers. So these are the twin pot calipers what you get on S2s, 20 valves and the 2.8s. So 2.3 20 valves and the 2.8s and S2s. As you can see, I've done a 5-ston conversion. I had to put a 20 mil spacer on, because the wheels touch the steering arms up the top, and then you'll have problems with your blowout tires and all sorts. So you have to put on the front. I've done it all around. I put 20 mil all around actually, but I've got the 20 mil on the front. Right, let's get the subframe off. So we're underneath the car. You've got the ball joint bolt to take off underneath here, which I think is a 16. Use a hex, don't use a teeth socket because you'll have problems. And then you've got your subframe bolt there, that big 7, I think it's 18, and then coming across, you've got another subframe bolt. So you've got 2 at the front, and then you got some at the back, and then you've got your ball joint there, not the 3 there. Actually take the one what's in the actual hub, take that one out. Then you've got this bracket what goes onto the gearbox mounting. That needs disconnecting because we're going to take the rear gearbox mounting there. On the ADR, it only has one mounting like that. V6s are different. So we're going to be unbolting that. So we'll prop the gearbox up to hold it up in position, because we're going to be, I'm not taking the gearbox out or the drive shafts. So once this subframe's off, you've got bolts underneath, above this, which you connect to the gearbox. You can't really get, you can get to them, but you'll have to jack the engine up. But if you get rid of the subframe, you get to see everything, and it's not that hard to disassemble. And I'm going to give this subframe a clean as well when I get it off. I've unbolted the exhaust bolts. So I've already got the exhaust ready for the 1.8 turbo. I've just got to get the exhaust fabricator to do this S-bend from the turbo down. So anyway, we've taken the subframe off. By the exhaust, there's a dust cover, which is this here. It's 2 8mm, one there, one on the other side. Take those off. Then you're going to get to a 17mm nut and bolt. On the top of it, you put the spanner, a 17mm spanner, 17mm socket, ratchet, whatever one you want to do. Hold the spanner at the top so it doesn't keep on spinning, and then take that bolt off. And then you've got the subframe bolt over there, subframe bolt at the back, and you've got that. I've already taken the ball joint bolts off, and then you've got 2 subframe bolts which are at the front there and then at the other side as well. Unbolt those and we should be ready to take the subframe off. Then we'll be able to see the gearbox bolts underneath. So the subframe's off, and now you can see all the bolts where you've got to get to and around the car, and the brake accumulator and all the mountings. So I know it's a longer process, but at least you can see everything what you're going to do. So this bolt is part of the subframe bolt what goes into the gearbox. So it goes before the subframe. So I'm going to bolt this bolt in so it can hold the gearbox up, because like I said, it's not coming out. And then get the legs together. Right, so here is the subframe. Also to remember, when you're taking the subframe out, if you're keeping the anti-roll bar on, don't forget to take off the drop link bolt. Take the drop link bolts off. That's what the top one's off. Much easier to get to. Sometimes they're hard to take off, so you've got to put some more grips on one side and clip them on tight, and then you can get your, if you've got a power gun or by hand, you can blow off. Otherwise it's just going to keep on spinning and spinning, and then if it goes that bad, then you might need a new drop link. Yeah, so that is off now. So bottom end is nearly done. I'm going to take off the bottom gearbox bolts so we know where we are and I can remember where they are. Then we'll start taking the top end of the engine out and all the wiring so we know where we are. So now I have taken the bottom bolts out from the gearbox. I've only got the top ones to do. I've taken out the starter motor ones as well. So I'm going to drain the oil shortly, but meantime I'm just taking all the ancillaries off the engine. So the airbox is gone, taking the injector cables off. You've got all this wiring, but that's after. Just getting all the stuff off the engine really, and taking off the all the plugs what are connected to the engine, crank, and all the other sensors as well, and the hall sensors, and the Lambda sensor, which is this one here. So I'm going to keep everything in its place, because obviously the 1.8 turbo loom's not far off the same as this 1.8 ADR loom. So we're almost there. Just got to take off fuel rail pipes and everything. And like I says, I'm keeping this bar on. Like I says, when you're doing a 1.8 turbo conversion, it'd be ideal if you've got this bar off a 1.8, because it just fits in flush. A V6 one or a 2 litre ABK won't fit, and then you've got to do fabrication work. So that bar is really important. So I've just drained the oil. Now we're just going for the power steering bolts here. 1, 2, like I said, this is on the brake accumulator, so there's 3. I'm going to loosen the brake accumulator off the mounting, because the plan is to drop the mounting with the engine because these mountings are very fragile and can break and are not easily available and are expensive to replace. So that is the next move. All the wiring's been taken out. We're just going to take out the top gearbox bolts at the top, and then we're ready to kind of let it down. Cross members holding it all together, and 2 front engine mounts, and then we'll go from there. So all the loom's been taken off the power steering pipes, water pipes are off, the gearbox bolts are out. The only thing what's holding this engine up are these mounts here, driver's side and the passenger side, and this front cross member one here. So to get them off, what I'm going to do is some 16mm bolts here, 1, 2, 3, same on the other side. Unloosen those, then I'm going to take the cross member off. Well, jack the car up first so that the engine's supported. Take the cross member off and the engine should fall out, coming towards the front of the car. It's not really a problem because the engine's not going back in, so obviously doesn't really matter anymore with this engine. But the other engine, I use the engine hoist and hoist it into position. I've also dropped a jack underneath the gearbox so the gearbox doesn't lean to one side, so when we're putting the engine in, it's fully supported and ready to be slid in, so it won't move. So all bolts are taken out of the mounts. Front crash member bar is being taken off. These are the mount bolts. That's how long they are. So they do work. There's 6 of them, 3 on each side. Now we're going to drop the engine down. So we've got the engine out. I've just put some alloy wheel cleaner on and some cleaner. I'm going to wash around the engine bay. The old loom doesn't really matter. The loom for the lights and stuff have moved aside and moved out the way. They'll be out the way. All this loom here, all of that is coming out because the new loom's going in. So I've taken the engine out. The old engine's here, and it's absolutely, like I says, I bought this off another guy who does Audi 80s. It's not from him, it's from the owner who he bought it off. But I've noticed when I was driving the car, there was a lot of fumes, oil fumes coming in the car. Now the previous one, I don't know what they've done, but they've put cable ties around the inlet manifold and everything, so no wonder where. And then this was loose. I haven't even bolted the inlet manifold. It's just all loose. So you've got to think all that time when I was using the car and the fumes were coming in and the power was underpowered, was because someone's, you know, they've gave it a go and they haven't done it properly. The car was very underpowered. As you know, if you've seen in the first video, it was really slow driving. And it's because of bodge jobs like this, and this pipe here, it's important, it's on a plastic pipe and it goes like a shoehorn. That's broken off. Like I says, the only thing I never done, I take fault for that, is I didn't do an oil change on it because I knew what I was doing with the car. But all of this just can't happen. This is supposed to be like how this back one is here, it's supposed to have like a clip on there, circlip. This one's being all cable ties are not going to do anything. Now it'll hold it to move it places, but to drive on journeys, no, it's not acceptable, is it? So anyway, gonna clean out give it a quick wash, change the engine mount over, because you've got to change this engine mount here. As in the other video, I've already changed the one side. I just needed to take the one off this side. I'm going to give it a wash, take it off, give it alloy wheel dragon's breath, and wash it off, and then bolt it onto the new engine, which is over there under the sheet, and then we can get the engine hoist and lift it in. So before I put the engine in, I did say that I was going to take the heater matrix out. The heater matrix bolts on the bulkhead is this one, top one here, where the hoses are for the matrix, and then underneath by the brake pipes there's another one there. So while I'm here, I'm going to loosen those so I'm prepared to do the heater matrix when I take the dashboard out and do the wiring. So with the engine build, it's getting dark now. It's the end of the day now. It's nearly 5 o'clock and it's got darker. As you know, the winter night's coming early. Decided to call it a night now. So the engine's in. I got a friend of mine to come and help me lift the engine in. So we got the engine, the old one out in a day and the new one in. But obviously tomorrow morning now I'm going to have to bolt it all up and we'll do this part 3 of the 1.8 turbo build. But before I call end tonight. I just want to show you the looms, because the next thing I'm going to be doing after I build everything back up is putting the loom in. This is an ADR loom, and what I did about 3-4 years ago, I was that deep going into it. I even done like diagrams and the color of the wires, and then here's the ECU from an ADR as well, and these are the plugs what plug up into the fuse board and your ignition. There's not many on there, so that's the ADR loom. And then if we move over a bit over to here, we've got the 1.8 turbo loom, and if you're aware of the 1.8 turbo loom, it's pretty much the same. However, on this part here, the ECU on an AEB or Audi A4 B5, the ECU sits underneath the engine at the top left. If you was looking inside towards the inside of the car, and it's got a few plugs. There's like a module what goes there, and then you've got 2 plugs, one big one for the ECU and another one. Now that is a lot of loom, and plus when you're going to pull it into an Audi 80, you've got to take all this nasty hard foam off, and you've got to like heat it up and rip it off, or throw petrol on there and cut it off. And I've tried it before and I almost sliced my finger off. I've even wrote down and put on tape what everything is. This was many years ago. This was about 4 or 5 years ago, and it was still difficult. And I'll be honest with you, I wrote it down, and I'm not an electrician, I'm not a wireman, but I'll learn with diagrams and stuff if I have to. So like I said in the last video with the silver coupe, I found a source who makes the looms. Now it's all plug and play, it's easy, it's got all the diagrams of what you have to, well, the diagrams, and they're all labeled of where you've got to go with wiring. It's so simple, and plus because I'm doing it in an ADR, which is a similar loom to the AEB, it's straightforward. So I've chose the red loom. Here it is here. I've chose the red loom because I just find it easier for my eyes to see where the engine loom is in the engine bay, and when I pull it behind the dashboard, because when you see a lot of black wires, you don't know where you're going. So here it is here, and it's got all what the wires are. A lot of these are for clocks, and then you've got these wires down here, which tells you which one's ignition, constant ignition, and your lives and everything. And then you got your fuel pump and everything. It is so straightforward, it's unbelievable, and it's done nicely, and everything's got a label to it. Even going into the engine bay area, everything is labeled up to where you've got to go. I couldn't fault it. I've done it in 2 cars. I've done it in, well, this is my 3rd 1.8 turbo I'm building, and all of them have had this loom in there. Can't fault it, and it's a new loom, because remember these cars are over nearly 30 years old, so they can cause problems. So I will be putting this loom in tomorrow, and going from there, and then hopefully part 4 we'll be seeing if it can be ignition and get all the wires working and it starts. Thank you for watching. Any questions, please comment. Please still like and subscribe, and we'll go on to part 4 of the Pinky 1.8 turbo ADR to AEB build. Take care, viewers.